Hey everybody, welcome to So with Joe. Today we're going to be talking about treating hearing loss. I said, today we're going to be talking about treating hearing loss. And we're also going to be working on my blanket project, sewing old t-shirts onto old jean material. So let's get into it. Now, if the clinical trials that are coming out of this study are true, there is a way to reverse hearing loss. That's right, a way to reverse hearing loss. I'll stop doing that now. Basically, there's a company out there called Frequency Therapies, and they have discovered that the ear has molecules in it, or cells in it, similar to stem cells. Now, these cells are called progenitor cells, and when they are stimulated with certain molecules, certain concoction, certain drug, then they produce the inner ear hairs that degenerate in our body over time due to age and overuse. And by doing so, by regrowing the hairs, it also helps treat tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears, and it also slows dementia, because hearing loss and tinnitus have been linked to dementia, having a contributing factor. My guess would be that since your brain isn't being as stimulated by what you can hear, because you can't hear as much, your brain doesn't stay as active, and that contributes to dementia. Now, it's an injection. I'm not sure exactly how, but in the ear area, and they have had great success. They've treated 200 people, and many people have noted great improvement in their speech recognition. So they are comparing it to LASIK treatment for your eyes, where you basically go in, get injections, and you would hear better. And that is amazing news, because I am noticing some hearing loss as I get older, and I'm sure most people are. It would be nice to be able to hear people and music the way I used to. And as I mentioned, they are only at the stage of having treated about 200 people, which means they're still in clinical trials. They are starting a new trial soon that's going to have another 127 people, and they're going to see what happens. And this has been going on for a little while. They have had the effects of the treatment last for up to 2 years. So it'd be something that would, it sounds like, help and fade away, but it also may be that they only have data for 2 years. So if effects have lasted for 2 years, and it's only been 2 years for the study, then it could be something as permanent as the LASIK, or similar to the LASIK. Not that LASIK is a permanent solution to eyes, but we would correct them. Now, the other interesting part of this study is that these progenitor cells aren't only located in the ear. They are located in many various parts of the body, various organs, tissues, etc. So, and basically after birth, they do nothing. They form you during, while you're being developed in the womb, and then after birth they just don't do anything. So if they can be reactivated, they can start regrowing tissue in potentially many different parts of the body. And if you can start regenerating different tissues and different organs and improving cell function and that sort of thing, you can improve quality of life and longevity of life for everyone. So many of the things that we talk about on this channel could affect the entire world, and it's an amazing thought. And my hope, my sincere hope, is that it becomes available to everyone someday, if they want to. If you can, because eventually they'll come up with something that just restarts all your cells growing back to youthful levels. And basically a fountain of youth injection, I guess, would be what we're talking about. So if people want it, I just don't want it to be something for only the rich and famous, like stuff with like human growth hormone and things that are just obscenely expensive and have amazing results, but are basically elitist. It's just neat that one thing that I've learned is that most of the things that most of the facts that become false over time. So you can confidently state, I've known this since I was a kid, this is a fact, this is, and yeah, it has been, but that changes sometimes. Like, oh, once you lose your hearing, you can't do anything to replace it. All you can do is get hearing aids to boost it up, whatever. But now, that might not be a fact anymore. AIDS is pretty much just curable now. It's mind-blowing, and I'm really kind of glad that I started this this series, because I'm reading a lot of really good news, a lot of interesting facts, a lot of stuff that's changing my mindset and replacing a lot of my facts, a lot of things that I knew for a fact, with things that are new facts. And I think that's a big part of staying young as well, is just learning all the new facts and learning what can and can't be treated. You know, like there's going to be people that are going to die of all sorts of diseases just because they don't know about a technology or don't have access to a technology. But a lot of the times just because they just, you know, oh, I've got cancer, I'm going to die. You know, maybe not anymore. You know, there's all sorts of stuff coming out. And it sounds like within the next few years, if the world keeps progressing, then who knows? It could be a very, very different world. Very, very soon. You know, the concept of money is changing, which I really don't like. I don't want to have a digital wallet that an EMP can take out and suddenly my portfolio is just gone, which is kind of already what it is. But you know, there's a lot of changes that we won't know whether they're good or not until it happens. And I'm just going to go back to my parable of the Chinese farmer. I know I've been loving that lately. The maybe parable. If you haven't heard it, I'll just say it quick. Chinese farmer loses a horse. Horse dies. Everybody says, "Oh, that's terrible." Farmer says, "Maybe." Next day he gets a bunch of wild horses that run into his pasture and he catches them, and everybody comes and says, "Oh, now you've got a bunch of horses, isn't that wonderful?" Well, maybe. Next day his son is training the horses, and the horse breaks his son's leg, kicks him, breaks his leg. And everybody's like, "Oh, isn't that terrible?" Farmer says, "Maybe." The next day the army comes around drafting all the young people, and they pass by his son because his leg is broken, and isn't that wonderful? Well, maybe. So it's you never know if something's good or bad until you see it from in the future, until you see it in hindsight. Because something that you think is the absolute worst thing that could possibly ever happen to you ends up sometimes being the best thing that could have ever possibly happened to you. So whatever life throws at you, don't let it get you down, because it could just be the thing that brings you back up. And you know, people respond better to positive people than negative people. So don't get on that sneaky hate spiral where everything just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And little things lead to bigger things until you just explode and end up sitting on a rooftop and playing with a rifle for a while. Not something I would do, of course, but just the way the scenario plays out a lot of the times with a lot of people. The stereotypical scenario, I guess I should say. So it doesn't look like I'm going to have quite enough thread on this to finish off today. And that's okay. It's kind of run out of things to talk about. So as I work on tying up this last stitch here, I will say thank you very much for joining me. I do really appreciate the time we get to spend together. And until next time, keep chilling. Don't forget your cookie. Peace.